Ready, Kelly? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mulholland?
Here.
Mr. Kinzer?
Here.
Mr. Beverly?
Here.
Dr. Greenlee?
Here.
Mr. Nolan?
Here.
Mr. Purvis? Mrs. Walsh? Mrs. Hammond? Mrs. Stuckey? Here. Mr. Schultz? Mr. Cunningham?
Here.
Mr. Stoller?
Is there any audience visitors? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, building project updates.
Yep, I just included that list that we passed out at the board meeting last time. This was the list that originated from our principals that talked about needs. It was just more informational to make sure that the committee had it too. So I don't know if you want to walk through every item, but I listed the life safety items that are still things that we got to hit. Top 5 building needs, and that came back from principals. I just shared that with the board at the last meeting, and more informational. Just want to make sure the committee had it.
So there were conversations, preliminary conversations about this work to be done over Christmas break or spring break.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I don't think there was, but that's what my plan was, like stuff in the gyms and stuff like that we can try to get knocked out. I know it's a short window, but I know a couple of the high school, I got them 2 fans that I got in contact with, getting them fixed. Because that gym's gonna be busy, and it might not work over Christmas because basketball's in there all the time. So I was just trying to find a window, even if we had a day where we had no kids in it, once we have all the material on it, just say, hey, let's knock this out and get done with it. That's what I was trying to put together is some of the stuff we've got knocked out. I know that the Hoffer Grove and doors and stuff have been trimmed up and that's squared away.
Is the flooring project at North Winnup Elementary too big to do over Christmas break?
Yeah, you know what?
We talked about-
Here's my question, my idea behind this. If we did it in phases where you could do part of it, and I've talked to the guys about doing this, the guys that send me the quotes, and if you could do like 3 or 4 of the rooms and then have time to put everything back in their room, that's the problem. You're gonna use a day to move everything out. They'll probably need 2 days to remove, replace, depending on which way we go with it, and then put them rooms back in service again, and then try to finish it up in phases. That's what I just wasn't sure. I think if we try to take the whole piece of cake, I think we might be biting ourselves in the hind end with that. But I don't have a problem doing it in phases. It's just.
I was just asking.
No, and I've thought about it too, Ed. It's just to the point where I'm like, I don't want to overwhelm somebody. Like, you got to talk to Dave, or we send people there and go, hey, you're going to move all 6 of these classrooms out in the hallway.
Some of my thoughts wasn't so much about us getting everything out and back in and then the carpet down. It was more about the teachers feeling like they were ready to be back up and ready for class. So.
I know there's value in trying to move some of this work outside of the summer scope of projects.
Correct.
Because we can get them a bit cheaper and get them done probably more timely. Guys are looking for work this time of the year versus in the summertime when the profit margins go up.
And I've also talked to them too, as far as, it really gonna hit me, like if I gave them Friday at 2 o'clock, can we come in and what's our Saturday, do we save money doing it that way, or just to get the job complete on it,
Right.
Because everybody right now doesn't wanna be, with our weather changes, nobody wants to work it outside, but, if I can work it in that way and make it work and keep everybody happy, that'd be wonderful if I could do it that way.
What does the signage project entail? Is it just literally classroom signs?
They go right on the door. They're
Yeah, and I got that set up to come in and try to do that over Christmas or one of our off kids' days. I have a meeting with him everything Monday at 8 o'clock, so we're gonna walk through all that. I'm gonna take him through it, and then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut it loose on a day and say, here we go. I want this one done this day and this one done the next day, so.
So that one is scheduled.
Yeah, that's gonna go. Yeah.
Isn't
Capron.
Papa Grove's done?
Poplar Grove is done, Capron is done. I forgot to take that, or I
I
just
have
didn't
the
take that
upper,
off the list.
the UE, middle school, and Manchester's the 3 that we have done.
And I talked with Greg. Greg's got to kind of do a little bit of design. He thought the Capron fire doors or something like that, they could get that done in a day or two.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to go over on the summer projects, any updates or
No, I
thoughts?
think, did you want to talk a little bit? I know you're in the process of at least getting bids and things for the upper.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I've been in contact with them. I got one more guy meeting me Friday on it to make sure they're gonna give me the 4 different ways we wanna try to approach that. You know, whether it's just raw loom carpet, carpet squares, tile, from VCT to LVT to the no wax. So I've been in loop with them guys to figure out, you know, then they, you know, the next one comes up this time frame. And I've discussed it with them, like, well, it would be great if I could get all the stars aligned and get that knocked out. You know, it'd be a heck of a job to try to put everything in there in what, 6 days, but if we can do it, we can do it. You know, it's one thing when everything's moved out of the way, you can get in there and hustle it out, you know. You know, like the guys that set up and did the new band room over there at the middle school for us, you know, they come in, I had everything out of it, and it was like, okay, just give it to me. They tore everything out, prepped the floor, came back in the next morning at 8 o'clock, and by noon they walked out, you know. So I try to not put so much burden on them guys too. They want to get everything out. They don't want to sit there and help you move furniture, all that kind of thing, so. But, yeah, that was my plan for that.
You know, we made any progress on getting the roof leak stopped at Capron?
Yeah, you know what, I called, Sterling. They did the high school one, and the other guy that came out, I contacted him, I think Dean talked to me Monday, it was. And I called him back to bring guys back out on it. No, it was a week before that we got that snow. But yeah, I still don't know. I don't know if it's the windows. I mean, I tried to go back and look at what Jim has on that list of how many. The way that I assumed that he did that roof was like with 4 different contractors to do that roof. But the guy that I brought out there looked at it. It didn't make for the longest time. I mean, we went probably 3 weeks on it. And Dean called me and said, we got a problem here again. So I don't know. I mean, there's nothing visual to walk up and say, oh my God, here's a hole, this is what's coming in. I mean, me and Dean's both walked that roof twice and go, I don't know what it is. And then, you know, but yeah, I want to get that one definitely squared away. That is a high priority on my hit list right now too.
Were we able to get rid of the room dividers or? is
Not
this-
yet, no, not yet.
Is there anything else for the building projects update, Mark? Done? Or remaining life safety items, item 4?
Kind of just hit all that.
Yeah. Item 5, building needs.
Actually, that's probably all right smack dab right in the middle of what we just talked about. I don't know, if Jim, if you wanted to go through.
I went through and
kind
put.
of give an update.
Yeah, I've kind of put some things together as
Just for
far as the
information.
updates, and, I mean, they're all gonna tie together here with what we got. You know, as far as, going to talk with, Capron, freezer shipped today. We should have it on the 8th. I'll get a tracking number from him and take care of that. The fence for that material over there, them guys, being delivered next week, I believe Monday the 11th. She was gonna call me back before I left up at there today, but I didn't hear back from her. I know when, Mike mentioned about the smoke doors there at Capron also. We're in the work with the architect and getting that solution. As soon as we figure that out, then we'll just, I mean, I don't see over a day putting that together and getting somebody in there and getting them out. Signs we've touched base on, carpet. The groundwater problem, the sewer deal, we're working with the architect and engineer on that to complete that. We shot elevations on that material and we dye tested that. And we do have enough fall to take that and put it to a manhole to take it to city sewer. So it's just, now it's just a timeline of, you know, get a drawing put together, get somebody to stand, you know, let's do it the right way. You know, and then a timeline to do it. I mean, you're not gonna push that now. You know, that'd definitely be a summer, so you can get, at least get it in, get it done, get it graded, get it back to where you can have it.
Is that something they would vertically bore, or is that something we dig in a trench in?
They'll probably dig it in. How they would bore that is beyond me. I know Dean made mention to me about that. And from my past experience, I don't know how they would do it.
No, I just.
No, and here's why I asked the same question. So you're gonna put one piece of pipe 525 feet from one point to the other? Not gonna work. You know, we're gonna do it the right way. We got a 90-degree turn in there to catch, you know, you're basically going from the north end of the school to the south end of the school, basically, or east to west. And so we'll do it the right way, and we'll probably, what we'll do is they call it a clean out, I call it a catch basin, where you're gonna have your changing direction, and then we'll pick up the next spot and go from there. And the guys, Colin shot it, and I got all the numbers and benchmarks. I've been working with Greg on that to let him know, listen, it's not any magic. You know, give you a week to get in, get out, and, you know, clean everything up. So we don't have, you know, if you do it now, you know what you're dealing with. You know, everything's frozen. I know kids might not be going out anymore, but we can't shut that whole side of that building down. You know, and right now, here we go, groundwater's down, we don't have a problem. You know, so, but it is a problem, so we need to take care of it, so. That's my view on it. I mean, I talked to Dean about it, and we found out a lot of non-answered questions about Caper that we ran through with them guys dying and stuff, and figuring out where all the bathrooms lead and how they all got there, and, you know, it was one that we'll just do an as-built drawing, so at least somebody knows what's going on when we have problems. I know Dean for a while said he was, you know, it's a rabbit hunt. You don't even know what, you know, we're having problems, we don't know where to go, so. But we got a pretty good handle on it now, so. But yeah, I think if, you know, if it's gonna go, it's gonna be a good week, week and a half, but we're gonna do it the right way. We're not just gonna slap it in there and, you know, we're gonna do the pipe right. I mean, you're not picking up a lot of material, it's just, you know, if we can pipe it to the city sewer, then we're gonna do it, you know. Cause and nobody here at this table knows when that leach field is put in, cause I can show you the prints and there are no dates on it, so. And just like anything else, you guys know, when leach fields have life expectancy, then it's over. You get your choices. You either got to put a new one back in, and we can get the luxury of putting it to the city, you know, just erase that problem.
So is the recommendation to come on the parking lot side or on the
No.
field side?
On the field side. Yep. Yep.
Anything else on updates, Jim?
Signs. Not that I know of. Everybody loved their lovely weather on Halloween, so we went through that. Everything I thought went here good. I know I got, Caper and I gotta get them a snow blower and stuff, so I got that handled, so. And not that I know of, that's my list of stuff
So I guess to go back and summarize, so are you gonna be putting a recommendation in front of us to have Stellar or somebody work on the prints for that project?
Yeah, that was a question I was gonna ask too. I mean, here's what I don't wanna have happen. I don't wanna have somebody just draw it up and say, here's my sketch, and this is what I look like, and we're gonna use this material. I mean, as far as my eyes, that school's been to a point where all the stuff is outdated, so if we put something new in, we should probably have a set of prints to say, hey, by the way, this is what happened, and this is the date we did it. Because right now, there's a lot of things, as everybody knows, that the meetings that we've had, that the Chase stuff is upside down, but that would probably be my recommendation to go through it, but unless you guys have a different idea or direction, or somebody has an idea of how we wanna do it. I mean, I know it's,
My preference would probably be to have Prince done and have it done professionally.
And that's the way I was-
So that the problem is fixed, and like you said,
Yeah.
going forward, if there was ever a building expansion done there, somebody understands that there's
Yep.
something that's gonna be in the way.
and that's the way I would address it, because I just don't wanna fly by night on it, because it's a little tiny problem that, guys, 5 years ago, I don't think they even knew it was there. And now we can't have water going backwards, so we gotta address it and get it taken care of, and hopefully, we can get through there. But that's the way I would recommend to have somebody draw up, print, architect, make sure everything's right. Shoot all our elevations, double check everything, make sure that we have enough fall from when we shot it. And I know we have plenty, but I would rather have somebody say, hey, yep, you're correctly right, But,
We'll work with Greg then.
Well, I wanted to make sure that you guys have any
Yeah.
objections with that recommendation coming to the board for approval.
No objections?
So, was that it for summer projects, or? We just
that's
not
basically,
there?
that's what I was kinda hitting on. We basically talked prior to that, and whatever's, we've been hitting off this list here is, well, for summer projects, that's
Those are the
probably
two big ones.
Two main ones, and depending on, like you asked me before, how that upper elementary carpet's gonna fall. If we can piecework and get it in there, if not, then, whenever June 1st hits, that's the way I would lay that out. Like, June 2nd, we're getting everything out of this, and we're gonna hopscotch it. We're gonna leave these guys in here for 3 or 4 days and be in and out, And that's the way I was gonna plan it. If we can't make it work, piecemeal with days off, And you know how some guys get with that too. They'd like to get in and get it all knocked out, give me 3 days, but like you said, it's a lot different. If they're coming in, it's 50 below outside right now and they wanna work. The numbers might be to a factor or a plus to do that, so.
So then going forward, are you gonna price it both ways, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
on that?
I've already talked to him about doing it, because I gave him, I said, we got days coming up, would your guys mind? I said, how we'll lay this out is, if you can put it together and we can get days knocked out of it, where I can come in and, so to say, Christmas break, and then, we get days of non-kids, and so, and he said, yeah, not a problem, he'll work with us, really decent guy, and then the other two, I broke out to that way too, so just like, listen, everybody kind of gets anxious and wanting to go, summertime gets loaded up on it, and wintertime everybody's looking for work, so.
So then I guess to summarize that, are we gonna see proposals on this month's board meeting for that work, or are we still working towards a January date for those things? If we work towards January, we don't have the opportunity to approve it for Christmas break.
So-
And that's where I was going.
Yeah, so here's where it can go yet, because I don't know that we'll have it back for our packet Tuesday night. But our goal is we still get those bids in and quotes, we could probably still talk about it yet. And my guess is we'll probably meet again for facilities in December. You could still bring it to the December board meeting and be ready to go for Christmas break if you want to go there. Your other window too that you've got, a little tighter obviously, is spring break.
Yeah.
Spring break.
Yeah, I had them both down as far as Christmas or spring.
If we approved it in a Christmas, at December meeting, would they have enough time to get the material they need?
I don't know, that's the thing about it.
That's a good question.
That was, if I push it, and I can get you that information, and it's just that I don't think that they're gonna give us anything that's extravagant or out, say, we're 10 weeks out on delivery on this material. When I talked to him, I said, I want something that's going into school, obvious, but we want something that looks really good and how we wanna do it, so.
Anything else, Jim?
No, sir, I think I'm good unless I miss something that you guys know about.
So we have a request for soft install prints.
Yeah. I'll work on that.
Future capital improvement projects, item number 7.
Yeah, that's kind of, obviously, the two big things are your e-carpeting, depending on where that is, Cape and sewer. So that's your immediate. Then I would kind of say to my committee here, give me some direction. What we want to do with years 2, 3, or you and I have talked a little bit about. We know that we need placeholders for all these buildings, as you can see on our list. We've just got stuff that continuously needs to be put in as placeholders for the building. We've talked about athletic facilities. Do we want to do some sort of phasing in of that type of stuff with athletic facilities or whatever other projects we see? It's kind of nice to be done to the tail end of your life safety stuff. Or do we want to begin holding conversations of what some of those things could look like, what our prices are, what our money is, that we could be dealing with on any of those things too?
Thoughts?
I think some of this stuff, I guess it helps me as you work out the numbers and get a better view. When we talk about these dollar amounts, how does it look, and things like that. When it gets to things of like the stadium and pieces like that, there's still a lot of conceptual ideas as far as what, and I was looking at another board's meeting notes where they were talking about doing like a multi-year approach and they were looking at things. And I guess the other part is, what would it look like if you tried to do it without referendum? What would it look like if you had a phased approach? What kind of things, and to start wrapping your mind around what do these items look like? And also keeping in mind, you have a parking lot this year at the upper end, maybe a parking lot at the high school in 3 years, to make sure that although we don't have a roof project sitting here, that we've got these other items. And so it's, until we at least start sharpening that a little bit, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around.
Maybe that's some of the conversations, more the concepts, the different concepts that could be looked at or discussed or explored.
I know even, like looking at the list that you had in the sheet, just when you pick out a top 5, which you don't know, is this 10,000 and this 75, is this, it's hard
I know.
to think about what
I was
you're
gonna ask
looking
about
at.
that.
So,
I guess to build on that, that's kind of where I think that I feel comfortable is, first of all, with us establishing a budget that we commit to projects over the next 3 years, and then seeing where items like this fall, parking lots, public such a property purchase, and having all of those things all in the spreadsheet where we understand what our budget's going to be and what amount of money we're going to allow as placeholders for some of these projects, so that we have a plan moving forward on where we're going to make this and all that stuff.
Do we have even map-wise, not price-wise or anything like that, but a forecast, what any next expansion would be? Like if we were to build anything, where would it go so that we don't do something now that we regret doing in 10 years when the middle school needs an addition and yet
We have some
Locked
plans,
off.
gosh, what was that, maybe 2004, 2003, 2004, where they kind of used the central campus here where expansions would be. But it's been a long time since that's probably.
and the
That's-
current state of growth and any projection would say that we're not really gonna be building any new buildings or adding any new additions.
So our enrollment has, over the last 4 years, I think we've dropped 50 kids, almost 1690, and we're down about 1650. We keep dropping about 20. Talk about some of the expansion, some of the building, Bobby Road. The housing market has started to turn. I don't know that everybody's in fever panic yet of growth. I think that's a little bit of a state issue. But to have that, of course, that's not right. To make sure you have your cell phones, so to speak.
So we also own property, south of Poplar Grove. For a future school. So you know where the Pownell property, Pownell farm is, it's just across the river, right where the water tower is, the school district owns 40 acres right there. That was, those subdivisions grow around Poplar Grove. Poplar Grove, for the most part, is landlocked now. We've done all we can with that site. The school would be potentially built there. That was the idea behind buying it. It was a great deal for the Pownell family. She was making a career teacher. He was a trustee for Rock Valley. And donated some of that. The rest of it was purchased. Because that's a good point. There's probably people who are donating a little bit for that. So I think what we're saying is we'd like to see what a budget looks like for the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, so far we've committed sales tax money only to these summer projects. Is that what we prefer to see going forward, and we not take any money out of our budget and continue to use sales tax revenue?
It seems like what everybody has been interested in doing, or most
Is
interested.
that where you're comfortable this time? And then assign some, if we can, start to assign some values to some of these projects and some of the other projects that are on Mike's working document. Sure. And we can prioritize those going forward as well.
Any interest on the concept stuff right now, or should we start with that step first?
So if you think about it in terms of any homeowner, the first thing they do is look at their budget before they start dreaming big or constraining themselves.
I know in the past when we've asked Greg or somebody to come up with drawings, generally there's a cost associated with that. And,
Maybe
I don't
not-
know.
Not quite there yet, then maybe.
well,
Do you know what we're talking, Tom? Is this a couple thousand or is this tens of thousands? Tens of thousands.
I guess what I'm thinking is that in some of this, I see where we could, take some current drawings or take some.
That's what I was gonna ask.
And just say, can you adjust it for, what would be a ballpark figure you could put in without asking to do new work? And at least you would have a start as to, you know, what to put into a plan.
I could probably, we could go.
There's as I think about our facilities and our locations and the age of our buildings and things like that, a new facilities director being in, I think there's a lot of stuff that, the old, we don't know what we don't know, that, until you really get a chance to go through the buildings, look at the, are there other Capron freezers out there? Are there other things that are, that you may think have a 5-year life cycle on it, and maybe it's something that needs to be moved up. I think there's a lot of that, you're trying to get out and things, and, we're moving in the right direction, but
I kind of agree with you. We need placeholders for things that are going to arise. We have to do that.
so,
But I think I could does, or find something conceptual at least to get our arms around. Because for me, it was hard. Like, how much are we really dealing with on some of those things? If you like it, put something together without putting in sketches and drawings and cost.
that's, okay.
My preference, I mean, just from my experiences, is that when we get to the level that you're talking, Tom, is that I'm more of a design build bid it that way, let people come in and give us their visions of what we can use and have different options and ideas to choose and pick a firm and pick a project that way versus having your own guy on site. I think that it broadens the horizon a little bit.
As long as, yeah, but I mean, as long as people are bidding apples to apples, that's the biggest problem when you design build stuff. One guy might design build it a cheaper way, but the guy that's bidding the set of drawings needs to know what he's bidding. As long as you're bidding apples to apples, that's fine, but the minute you don't have it,
There's a spec sheet, they're still building.
you know what I mean, that's what's key, is
And
to
I'm
keep
not-
that spec sheet.
For me, it's not about building the cheaper. Somebody might come in and say, well, had you considered this? I mean, a group of people could sit down and somebody else with different experiences could come in and look at that same project differently. So that's why I prefer that particular piece. Now, it may not be cheaper in the end because somebody may come up and say, I think you're shortchanging yourself here if you go this direction. So that's just where I'm at personally. Anything else for super for that, future capital improvement projects? Did you get enough direction?
Yeah, I think I do actually on that. Thank you.
And since Tom brought this up, I had a couple questions about this also. Is this anything, he's wondering about the price, but I'm wondering about the timeline. Is this anything where like, this sheet is version 1 and this will all be done in this school year, and anything added might go on version 2, or just like other facilities lists, will things be bumped up or down on
They
the
really
list?
could. So I highlighted some of the bigger ones there too, and I put down there, highlighted items could be larger capital improvement projects. So depending on if something sneaks in or becomes a need, we may have to bump. So, but, a lot of these things are smaller type items like bleacher repair. Those things are items that can be picked off when we need to do. Some of our door magnets that need to be repaired for some of our fire safety doors, those are things that can be done within a day, during the workday. So we try to pick as many of those off, Ken, but when you're looking at like the main level boys and girls bathrooms at Manchester, you're talking about the terrazzo, having to kind of grind that and refinish that because it's aged, it's beat up, so those are larger type projects there. There are some placeholders in even the 10-year plan where we talk about cash argument events at Poplar Grove, at Capron.
And none of these are on that 10-year?
A couple of them are.
Okay, just the ones highlighted in yellow?
Yeah. So some of those are larger planned projects. Some of the smaller ones, we just continue to pick off. The larger ones could get bumped depending on what need arises or what if we prioritize something in front of them. I tried to get a little bit of scope to that. Placeholders are not there, that would what you may add next.
Was there anything else, Jim?
I'm still thinking about this future projection thing, though, and how we approach
approach it.
Like, will we ultimately perhaps give up on Capron's roof and build a new addition that's a new gym, or like,
Not
I don't know
really,
if that would end
no.
up being more costly than just replacing
What
it?
we're talking about on Capron's roof is, Capron's roof for the most part, replaced, we've got one spot where it's
Yeah,
just
it's leaking.
a leak that we cannot figure out where that gets at. That'll be a consistent, we gotta get it figured out. And so every time we get a leak, we call somebody back out. We did this at I think Poplar Ropes during this last year. We had a consistent leak, we just, every time you're coming out there with a set eyes to see, we track where the heck this stuff could be leaking and leaking down. So that would be one of those items that stays on the road. Non-stop until we get it.
And in
So has
terms,
all of Capron's roof been replaced now? Jim, do you know?
I'm pretty sure that roof is, everything's been hit in the last, I wanna say, 5 years. I mean, that's what I knew from Dean and Jim, just knowing, I mean, I didn't pull up the actual dates and, when it was actually, I know when me and Dean talked about it the one time, I know it was, I think there was 3 different areas that were replaced and 3 different contractors did, which
Time and bids.
It's bids, I get it, usually, I understand it, but now that they're out, they've been paid and some leaks. I didn't do that roof, I did this one, so it's going on, but we'll get it. But I don't think that they're that old. I mean, I can look for it and find out. I just know that I thought they were on the newer side like in the last 4 years maybe.
And Jim Novak
Because
was
when I-
saying our roofs now are in good
Yeah.
shapes.
Yeah, like the
Manchester
Manchester,
was our
yeah.
last one. For a while. That's what he was saying.
So one of the other follow-up items that I had was on the generator. Mike got an email here from Matt with Wold. Essentially, what Matt's saying is that it looks like the generators were essentially established for life safety, exit signs, exterior lighting, interior lighting, elevators, specific receptacles, and coiling doors for building separation along one of the switches, and the other one has fire pump on it. And so what I had told Mike, because my recollection of my time spent on that committee to build the school, was that what we were looking for was really a place in the community that would function in a disaster, man-made or natural, that could keep light, heat, water, and obviously keep the safety things on it. So I guess I just asked Mike for a little bit more clarification about, is that what we have here? Because you can't really tell from his specific email here about
This is where it says it's functioning. Is it functioning at that level? Yeah. So that's what we'll double check, Jim, sometime when we get a chance to, I guess, run the generator, just to see what it's going to power. And I sent that email to you too. So that's about I don't get it, I want to check that. We'll figure out how to get it done.
Mike, while, since we've got our booster people here who are wanting to hear something about this, while you are working on budgets and how much money that we're looking at, it's my understanding that we have, in terms of an athletic facility, past prints and layouts and pie in the sky, some of it being
Yes.
pie in the sky.
Yeah,
But some, no doubt some of it being still usable and
Oh, yes.
worthwhile and money already spent, so can somebody begin to compile that and put that together?
Yes, we got that.
Something that could be the preliminary,
Yep.
springboard?
We've had some conversations with that already in case we need it, so I think we'll.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? Item number 8.
Reducing contracted maintenance costs, that was one that we wanted to just kind of bring about, have some conversation with, maybe brainstorm, talk about where our contractors' costs are. Melissa puts together some of our, these are our top contractors that we use every year. Some of the things I know that we've discussed, and we probably maybe, we haven't talked about it as much at the board level, is maybe, how often we bid. take some of these back out. Some of our, some of these we've used for years and years and years. And we assume we're getting the best price, but I don't think it's a bad thing sometimes maybe if we have a concept of, if we're all on the same page of when do we go back out and kind of revisit, make sure we are getting what we need. And then I'd brainstorm some ideas of maybe keeping some costs down, bringing maybe something back so that the district can do things more efficiently for contracting. So that was an item that we wanted to bring here, and I'll start with that. Let people talk about their thoughts, and we'll start to go from there with discussion.
Ed, you're the one with the best background here. In my mind, I don't know if any of those could or should be done by any of our current employees, or if we need, you mentioned the term preventative maintenance once. I don't know if that's another position, if that's...
This is kind of where I guess I wanted to open up the dialogue and saying that when we continue to run bills at that level, we really, I think, owe it to our taxpayers to take a step back and say, if we just looked at just simply GeoStar, how many of the items that were in those contracted pieces were preventive maintenance? If we had our own district certified electrician, certified HVAC guy, what would we knock off there? What would be the value to taxpayers as far as bringing some of these down, back in line? We still need GeoStar for the certifications. We certainly continue to need a fire extinguisher for the certifications for the fire systems. I mean, I get that. There's going to be some projects that would be outside the scope of a guy being able to handle from an electrical standpoint, but I just feel like that this is a discussion that we need to have going forward and see if there's some value to us potentially bringing our own person in.
And what would that, in terms of hierarchy or title, what might that be, or what are our options?
Say that again.
In terms of hierarchy or title, would they be above a custodian? I'm not even sure if that's the term we use. Would they be
You'd
another?
probably look at somebody that's more of a district maintenance person, that's got the ability to float at all, and I'm gonna call it 7 facilities included, that'd be able to pick items off, so that maybe we don't have to contract too much. It's one more set of hands. A skill set that's sometimes above what our current custodians would have. Just a little more specialized in, like I said, something like plumbing. And so hopefully we wouldn't have to contract that out as much as repair. We could do a little more in-house. There still would be costs. Like we know there's still be the GeoStars. They would still have those costs with some of those contractors. But if we could bring some of that back in, and we talked about, if they're billing at $90 to $100 an hour, can we bring some of that stuff back in? It's labor we can handle.
And sure, our actual billed labor is probably closer to 150 for some of those skilled positions, isn't it?
I think it depends on what.
Which one?
Depends who. I know you want to talk to GeoStar, it's $90 an hour. Which, you know. That's not outrageous. And I'm just like, okay, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm the same way with you guys. It doesn't take long to figure out what number you should be at to make money, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be doing it, But some of them are different. You're exactly right, Phil.
We talked a little bit about too, that and there's times when your dang furnace goes down and you need somebody that's got a little bit of background history with what they're doing, with what could be wrong in this. They've got familiarity with their systems. There's some of that. I know, and I'll give Mr. Schultz a ton of credit. We have been, he's been aggressive and we've been aggressive in trying to repair things in the district and just stay at things. I know he's done a lot of plumbing work over there, faucet work, even electrical repairs over there. We've just had a lot of things that need to be continually addressed in our list, as you can see. We still got more items to go, so I know Mr. Schultz is going to talk about that. But
What is your recommendation gonna be?
mine, I'm waiting for the discussion right now. But I think there's a combination of the
4 people. Jimbo needs 4 people. If you want it from me, I have no idea. Are you thinking one position, a full-time position? Are you thinking?
So I'm thinking that really I wanted this to start with, what would we need to do, what here would we look at, what would a job description look like? Just a discussion, it's not my place to say we need to establish a new position, but this is an honest conversation that I think is the right time and place to have. We have somebody that would have the certifications to put in an electrical outlet, to fix a fire door, to do training with our building guys as far as how to use our controls and our electronics and how to handle boilers. What should we do and how do we balance HVAC systems, those things are, I think the things that we missed here in the last little bit. I'd just like to see us have a discussion about where do we think that we should go with this going forward. We do create a lot of, I think, emergency situations for ourselves because we haven't had a general preventive maintenance plan. We don't have a guy that's gonna go through all of the boiler systems and HVAC systems and clean coils and change filters regularly and check motors and make sure belts are where they need to be. We're just missing that. We're probably missing steam trap certifications as well, but some of the buildings I have. So, those are things that we really need to get back to and focusing on, and it sounds like Jim's already got his hands full. To expect him to be in a position to do that, I don't know that necessarily is where we're going to be at if we want to really focus on getting better with some of this stuff and saving ourselves some money.
And my concern for Jim is he's pulled far more ways quicker than he can get some of the stuff done. But I looked at it as a few different phases here too, because I think I'd love to hear feedback from the board about how often they feel we should be bidding some of these things out and maybe get some sort of cycle in place where we look to do some of the bidding. I think we could do more, kind of what you're saying, to empower some of our custodians to pick some of the items off that we have. If we get them what they need and if there's some training involved, we may have to do some of that. And then is there some stuff that we can bring back in-house that we could maybe shift personnel or do something with personnel to bring some stuff back in-house too. I kind of looked at it. And you guys might have suggestions of more ways than even just the 3 I threw out there.
So when I look at something like this, and I look at, we have a new facilities person coming on board, so to me, it's an ideal time to take a look with fresh eyes. And as somebody is getting up to speed and learning the environment and things like that, I think it's a really good time to do it. What I haven't understood in the few meetings that I've sat in on this is I've heard some things about, do we have a PM program? Do we have a contract with these folks? If we wanted to bring it in-house, do we know what we would bring in-house? And kind of what's the analysis piece of it? And so my proposal in something like this, long before we look at hiring somebody, I would want to take in, and GeoStar sticks right at you here, and the dollar amount, the idea that, you can maybe get 80% of the benefit from 10% of your contracted vendors list. But to me, I would sit there and I would look at those bills, I would break them out, I would try to look at the ones that say, okay, this is certifications are needed for this, so that if we've got to go for something like that, every one of these certifications we put in here is going to add something to it, and is it a once a year that you need that would be easier to contract out? And I would start trying to look at that, and you have maybe replacing coils in a boiler, you never would intend on doing that, or whatever the pieces you're looking at. To me, you could come in and say, how complex are we making it? What things are we trying to do? And then it can also be a phased approach. If maybe part of the things is that we're using GeoStar, we don't have a maintenance contract with them, and we're using them for filter changes, for cleaning rooftop units and coil cleanings and stuff. That's easily something we could put into a ticketing system. You don't need special certifications for it, and it helps the longevity of the equipment. And so I think we back, in my view, we do the analysis up front, we target the stuff, and then come up and say, this is what I think we can pull in. We can pull in this amount of things, we anticipate we'll get this kind of price savings on it, and then we revisit that in a year and see if we're hitting our targets, see if we're able to keep our guy or lady focused on the type of work that we thought we were gonna have them focused on. At our business, we do a lot of this stuff through a company like GeoStar, but it's a 3-year fixed rate contract. It's, our PMs are all documented, we know where the rooftops are, we know what things are gonna get done, and it's structured. I don't get the sense that we've been doing that here, or that, you know, GeoStar has a punch list that they're working off of, or a maintenance thing, and I think that's all the first start, is finding out what our equipment is, what maintenance it is, what types of work, do some analysis on the invoices, and we start. I think it's a really good time because, you know, some of this stuff you're discovering for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Most of these vendors, I know, I'm sure GeoStar would walk the buildings with you, I'm sure other companies would too, and you could even work out some, you know, what kind of packages could you put together for us and try this out. But that's more how I would jump at it. And if it was a position we're looking to create, my thought would be is that, well, let's kind of see where everything is at, and maybe that's something to put into next year's budget. But that doesn't mean there aren't big improvements that we can make to try even hitting some of these numbers that we're hitting with GeoStar right now. It's, so that's something like that would be the approach that I would take, but it would definitely start with analysis and breaking down bills, and it wouldn't necessarily be the whole list. It would be that, the one that we're paying out the lion's share of money to.
Any thoughts? You working on
Well,
something?
you see a company like GeoStar, and that's what we're picking on, is 202,000, okay, so maybe out of that 202, maybe 125 of it was a rooftop unit, because then I look down, a couple of line items, I see Blue Ribbon that year was a little bit more money, so maybe they had to run a new power feed over for that rooftop unit. So to think that you bring a new person in, you know, and you're gonna save some labor money, but that might, I don't know how the invoicing is done, but I'm assuming that's labor and material, time and material, right? So out of that 202,000, 50,000 of it might be labor and the rest might be material. So whether you have your own guy or you're hiring it out, you're still gonna have the material cost. So that's, to me, where you gotta do the breakdown. You gotta, and I'm sure they do on the invoices, breakdown. I'm assuming they do break down labor and material as separate. So that's where you could, if you were ever thinking about hiring another person, you gotta break that list down a little bit. Like, an example, okay, Priest Farms does a snow removal, so that's, there's no material there, that's strictly labor, so that's easy to tell. But 33,000, you know, there's a lot of equipment tied up in that. You're getting a lot for 33,000, you know what I mean? So that's where I think you need to, I'm not telling anybody to do any work or anything, but that's where you need to break down the labor and the material separate to actually see if it would be economical to look at a position.
And when you look at that number, also look at GeoStar in 71,000, right?
Yeah.
What didn't we do? You know, and I'm with you on that, Chad, because it's, you get to a point where you see the numbers, but I guess what you gotta do is what did we do? Is that all P&M? Is that just things that went bad? And I understand, I'll break that out. We'll get it.
I think some of the AT&T was putting in off the road. There was a lot of cost in there.
We did
because
have
it was small individual.
boilers go down last year because of the charts that had to do some purchasing and then we fixed the rest of the
So there's a few big ticket items.
And a part of that that's not quite so easily pulled out of bills is what was the cost of not having preventive maintenance plans when a boiler failed? We had to put in on the boiler tubes, you know, when the motor failed and we didn't have heat in part of the building. And those are things that are much more difficult to calculate, but the impact on the educational environment for that day was significant.
Well, I mean, boilers are preventive maintenance, you have, I mean, you take a school like the UE with no air conditioning, the preventive maintenance for a school like the UE is not, you build a new school similar to that, the preventive maintenance is through the roof. And we just got done with school in Lyle, and they got 182 air handling units in each room, basically, with each one with the filter, valves, everything else. So, I mean, there is advantages, a little older school with some maintenance stuff. You keep up on it, you can definitely make those rooftop units, the heating, on something like the UE where there is no cooling system, you can make it last a lot longer. So, you're right, I mean, you could avoid some costs sometimes by doing PM work. That's life in general, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's direction.
Absolutely.
Jim, you okay with what we're looking?
Oh, certainly.
Give me a time for what you want.
I just think it should be an ongoing discussion.
I'm okay with that.
Not necessarily opposed to what Tom's suggesting, is just taking the rest of the year and beginning to look at this, looking at it rationally, and beginning to pull out, maybe Melissa can actually do some of that for us. We lost the variant.
And we'll cut that part.
If we did PM on that, was that something that would have not failed? You know, so I mean, some of those material costs, you know, while I respect what they're saying, some of those material costs are due to lack of preventive maintenance plans. So we got you guys, we'll have to trust you guys to be the ones to determine what could have been prevented and what couldn't have been, and whether some of those materials could be included in that as we look at this analysis.
Any thoughts on bidding? Like, because a lot of these ones we've used for years and years and years, we never have.
What I was used to when I was here, and I think I shared that with you, is that when we brought Priest Farms in the first time, we brought them in on a 3-year because they needed to acquire equipment, pushers, and extra skid steers, so that they had an opportunity to remove that cost over time. But I'm not, I think that's still the direction that I would prefer to go, would be to offer 2 to 3 year contracts for some of these, so that if they do need to purchase specialized equipment, that there'd be an opportunity for them to bid those jobs aggressively, rather than them having to bid stuff or essentially walk away from things because they don't have the equipment that they need.
Yep.
We should do that for some of the food services and stuff as well, so.
2 to 3 years.
That milk contracts and food services and a lot of those things were all included in that list of things that we began to get away from the 1-year contracts because they're just not competitive. You know, people just weren't being serious about bidding those things and staying with you for all of it. I think there is there's something to be gained from having a relationship with somebody. I mean, things do happen, things do go wrong. If it's just a 1-year contract, there's incentive for people just to say, well, you know, there's only 2 months left in this contract, screw it, I'm gonna walk away from the deal, you know, or just drag their feet and not get it taken care of. So that's what I was used to when I was here. That doesn't mean that that's the direction we'd have to go, but I think that going forward, that's what I would prefer, is to come up with some decent time frame that gives somebody the opportunity to aggressively bid some of these jobs and see what we're
And
at.
it gives you some price stability and budgeting stability for like in 3 years, so.
That helps. I know we hadn't had the conversation. You and I, not 15 years start.
Are you all right with going down the 2 to 3 year contract for some of these? Identifying which ones that would make some sense with.
Is it, I know some of them we haven't done, so is it okay if we kind of come up with a rotation idea of years? You know, I don't want to have to, do you want us to do all of these now, or can we kind of space them out over the next few years and start to?
Well, yeah, I'll be honest, it probably doesn't make no sense to bid Priest Farms this year. They've already
Obviously.
provided these services.
I was saying going tomorrow, yeah. We're gonna
A lot of them have
kind
already
of
been,
probably.
a lot of them have already been in the system, so.
But we'll look at some of the bigger ones and just kind of come up with some ideas of what makes sense.
I think that it would make some sense to not focus on the entire list of
I just want to
services
make sure that wasn't.
and to somehow spread them out.
some timing and logic just to do it.
Right, right.
Okay.
Just to take it one more step, it might be a great time when we're doing this, when you do put those proposals in front of us. Even I struggle with what Sound Incorporated does for us every month, you know, to maybe, you know, there'd be some learning involved for the board, so that when we look at those bills and we see Sound Incorporated down there, we understand what function it is that they provide for the district. And, you know, you look at Aramark uniform, you assume it's uniform services, but there's probably much more than that. In that there's the mats for the schools and
Yep.
all the other things. So, I mean, I think there's an opportunity for keeping the board abreast of, you know, what exactly some of those bills represent to us, you know, going forward. When we get the opportunity to bid them.
Plus help them in the review process too. That makes sense.
How are we coming, excuse me, is there anything else under the maintenance class piece?
No, I was gonna say, I'll let you go. How are we doing?
Are there other discussion items, how are we coming with balancing out the equipment that we have between the schools as far as snow blowers, floor scrubbers?
The one that I gotta get right now is just Capeman. That one is done, I just gotta get it to full tier, so.
Engine issue. Floor scrubbers and vacuums, I believe we've upgraded a few of them there.
And I think
This
this
is
is all
one of those
prior
ones
to I
where
got
it's
here, I looked at some of Jim's stuff and put it through, I don't see nothing that's going on, my God. This doesn't work, the last vacuum he got was 10 years ago, so be it.
15.
I mean, off the top of my head.
I expressed it to a couple of guys, but I really can't stress enough the idea that I think we really need to stress to our guys that they don't just bring their stuff in from home. You know, I think that exposes them to an exceedingly ridiculous amount of liability if their equipment's not up to speed, and it also exposes us to a great deal of liability if their equipment does something to a child or someone else when it's in school. So, I mean, I hope that we stress to the guys that we're gonna get you what you need to do your job. Do not bring your stuff in from home.
Certainly.
I agree.
Anything else under other discussions? Anything else to come before the committee tonight?
The only thing I was gonna ask is, did you want to set another meeting? We've got a lot of research and legwork to do, but I don't know, not that I'm yelling anybody needs an extra meeting right now. If we stay in front of it in December at some point before the board meeting,
Maybe I guess where I'd be on that, Tom and Joe can correct me, but if we're gonna make decisions in January, we probably need some more discussion in December.
that's kind of what I was
that goes on, so. Okay.
good with that. We'll try to make sure we try to get what we can for this.
Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.